Swing State. I made it a point. I wanted to see this play. I have been hearing about Rebecca Gilman, who is a great playwright out of Chicago. Well, actually, she's in Wisconsin, but she's resident with the Goodman Theater in Chicago. And I've never been able to see one of her shows. And so this was playing at the Minetta Lane Theatre, which is down in the West Village. And not far from my old stomping grounds where I'd go party my ass off in Sheridan Square, a number of gay bars there. Of course, Sober Scott doesn't do that anymore. And it's interestingly enough, sobriety is like one of the subplots, multiple subplots. So, Swing State. What is this about? You would automatically think that, it's about politics, right? Because we hear a lot about what swing states are. And it is set in Wisconsin, which is definitely a swing state. And while there is an underlying of politics, that it's not really a political play. It's more about the swinging that we do in our lives, how we are swing from a state of despair and depression to a state of hope and joy, from a state of anxiety to a state of peacefulness. That's more what I think she's talking about, that the title means when it says swing state. So we find Peg at the beginning of the play. This is a unit set. It's no intermission. It's an hour and 45 minutes. That there were a few times that I went, but full disclosure, you guys remember I am recovering from a hip replacement surgery that was almost 8 weeks ago. So I still get stove up and uncomfortable easily. So I'll say that. But there were times that I was like, okay, when is this going to take off? And then it does, and it's very interesting. But it's a quiet kind of play, and that just kind of plods along, much like the prairie that the play is set on, the prairie in Wisconsin, the Great Prairies, which are true, which are there, and need preserving, and that's a lot of what the play is about. And then, boom, some action happens very fast, and then you're dealt with the aftermath. The play deals with suicide. We see Peg in the very first scene. She's making zucchini bread. Like anybody needs zucchini bread. And I love zucchinis, but come on. And she's got a knife, and she's like, wanting. You get the immediate impression that this woman is in a state of despair and is wanting to harm herself. Then we meet a young man named Ryan, played by Bubba Weiler, or Wheeler. I don't know how to pronounce that, Weiler. And you're not sure. What is their relationship? Is this her son? Is this her boy toy? And you come to find out this is a kid who lives down the road. He has his own house. But Peg and her husband, who we learn is deceased, took care of this guy, Ryan. He's had some hard luck. He served time in prison, but they look out for him. And so the two of them look out for each other in this weird kind of antagonistic way where, she's like talking about things that are disappearing off the prairie and about the seeds and the birds and the bats and bats dying. And he's like, well, you're a fucking ray of sunshine. Oh, I just said F word again. Oh, well. But that's what he literally says. And so you get this back and forth with the two of them. What you find very quickly is that she has discovered a box gone from the barn, and it included her deceased husband's rifle. And so she calls the police. And the police, who are not the sheriff, who's a female sheriff, Sheriff Chris, and she's played by Kristen Fitzgerald. and Sheriff Chris is not a fan of Ryan, and she immediately says it's him. Um, and so there, this kid gets accused of stuff, and we see him have panic attacks and fall apart. And Peg try to console him while she's contemplating killing herself. And so it's a very intriguing, interesting story um, that I'm not going to spoil the ending and tell you how it ends. I would tell you that the fourth character in the play is a new deputy, a young new deputy who is Ryan's age, played by Anne E. Thompson, and she plays a significant role in the climax of the play. What I want to tell you is that the lead actress Peg, played by Mary Beth Fisher, is a revelation of talent. This woman takes this role and makes her Peg very real, very honest, very pure. I know that person. I know who she is. And she cares a great deal about the world, the environment, people, animals. And yet at the same time, she's kind of got a F it attitude where she's just distraught over the loss of her husband, truthfully. And this post-pandemic world that she thinks is just going to hell. In fact, there's a line at the beginning where she says that she and her husband would pray or dreamed of a pandemic that would wipe out the human race so that the animals and the plants and the earth had a effing chance. And then the pandemic happens, and evidently her husband dies either right before the pandemic or right into it. I can't remember that, but she's like, well, shit, you know. So very, very well done, staged beautifully by director Robert Falls, who again out of the Goodman Theater in Chicago, and he and Rebecca Gilman have like a partnership that he has directed a lot of. I was reading up on this. I didn't know that. Okay, this I read up on, guys, because I was intrigued. It's very, very interesting. The set is gorge. I did take a picture of the set, and that's going to be on my thumbnail of the video, so go back and you can see it. And there's a picture of Mary Beth Fisher, because this entire play, I mean, she is on stage. It's an hour and 45 minutes, no intermission. And I'm going to tell you, she is probably on the stage an hour and 30 minutes. Probably. And she definitely, the thing is that she is the main character, and she kind of drives the play, but she kind of doesn't, because she comments on what everything else is happening. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition that Rebecca Gilman has put this character in, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Just phenomenal acting on all of the actors. The set beautifully. The sound was great. Of course, it's a small theater, the Minetta Lane Theatre. I love this theater now. And it's an Audible Theater, so this is going to be available through Audible. So you guys can hear it. So that's why I'm not going to spoil it for you, so you can experience this play. Not like I did in this 300-seat, little over 300-seat auditorium, even though I was sitting next to the rudest woman on the planet. Yeah, I just did say that. But I really enjoyed the play. My only criticism, there was one thing, and it was glaring obvious to me, but it's probably where I was sitting. Because the set, it's a unit set, and it's a living room. It's a small living room with a big kitchen and a dining and a round table with 4 chairs. And in one scene, Peg has been out on the prairie digging, because that's what she does. She's out on the prairie. She saves seeds. She bird watches. She watches the there's a bird that's very prominent in it. Now I can't remember the name of the bird. I think it's a sparrow, but it's a very specific kind that is rarely ever seen. That Ryan had the fortune to see and was obsessed with. Anyway, she's been out, and she comes back, and she's talking to the deputy. Can't remember the deputy's name, but it was played by Annie Thompson. And she's dirty. She's got clothes on. Her pants are all dirty, where she has been down in the mud, and it's very clear there's mud. And she sits back in a chair and she plops her feet up on another chair. So the soles of her shoes are staring at me, the audience, and the soles of her shoes were cleaner than mine. And she's been out in the dirt. Now, that's something a director should have picked up on, so I will say that. But it kind of makes me, as an amateur director, feel good that even phenomenally professional, well-acclaimed directors like Robert Falls missed a little thing like that. But it's true, like her pants are all dirty, but then the bottoms of her shoes is pristine clean. Anyway, it's definitely a show we're seeing. Check it out on Audible when it becomes available. Swing State. Not what you think it is, but it's about the state of emotions that we swing back and forth from. Go see it if you can at the Minetta Lane Theatre. It's only playing through October, like the end of the month, I think. Well, I know it's through the end of the month. I can't remember. It's not Halloween. It's like the 20-something, 28th, I think. And it's well worth it. My ticket, great seats for less than $100. Way to go. All right, you guys. I am seeing Pearly Victorious tonight. So I can't wait to do that video as well. See you guys at the theater.